You don't have to have a high net worth. I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions about real estate is you have to, like you were saying earlier, you have to start with something in order to get something. You don't.
You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the AZREIA Show. I am Marcus Maloney, and I have my co-host and executive director, Mike Del Preet.
Hello, hello, hello.
So we are having an amazing show today. We have Mike Anderson that is going to be with us today, and we're going to talk about some wild, amazing, and crazy things. He has some great stories. Actually, just to give you a little bit of the backstory, Mike knew Mike. I knew Mike. Me and Mike went out to dinner, and it's a long story. We'll definitely get into it. But we're going to be talking about rentals. We're going to be talking about fix and flips. We're going to be talking about quite a bit. So get ready. Buckle up your seat belts, get strapped in, get your notepad, your pen, paper. And I want you to take some detailed notes because we're going to be kind of going all over the place today. But we do have a focus, and you'll definitely understand that focus at the end of this episode. So welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
What's up, Mike?
Glad to be on the show. Thanks, guys.
All right, Mike. So kind of give us the backstory. I mean, me and Mike, we know you, but share with the audience your backstory, who you are, what did you do before real estate?
Before real estate, I actually started my career in aviation. I started flying airplanes when I was 15 years old. My mom used to drive me to the airport so I could fly. So
Awesome.
Yeah, and then I got my commercial multi-engine instructor licenses at 18 years old. Started teaching at the University of Oklahoma in the back classrooms at 18 years old, aviation. Wow. And I thought that's where my career was going, and things changed in life, and that's the way things happen. But basically, I went to Michigan State after that, Michigan State University. And while I was there, I was developing some web pages and ended up building a top 10 web page in the world. It's still on a site called waybackwhen.org with my picture up there. It's a history of the internet. That's how old I know. But so long story short, I thought, I was going to get my 4-year degree so I could go back into aviation. Things didn't go that route because I got offered some sizable jobs having that web page up there.
IT.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically the presence of the web page. So, and, ended up working for Microsoft and USA and Blue Cross Blue Shield, kind of corporate ladder type of things.
So let me ask you this, because I run into quite a few real estate investors, and they always intrigued by aviation. I mean, what is it? What drew you to aviation, to flying?
That's a great correlation. I think it's the word freedom. It
Okay.
gives us a sense of freedom because both real estate and aviation give us that sense of freedom where we can get away from everything, or we have control of our own destination.
Okay.
We can fly wherever we want to go. We can do whatever we want on our own time schedule. And that's something that you can't really take away. And that's, what that's all
Okay.
about.
I like that.
Mike, you gonna buy a plane?
I don't, no.
You got a pilot already.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Mike will buy the plane. I'll fly with him.
Just fly.
Mike already has a plane.
Yeah, that's me. I'll fly, but I don't need to buy one. Okay. So then you got into IT. Tell us about this web page, man.
Oh, the web page. So basically, Michigan State allowed you to develop web pages if you were a student at Michigan State, and I developed some of the very first web pages ever at Michigan State. They're up there. I know for a fact I developed the first criminal justice web pages at Michigan State University because they gave me an A in the class just for developing the web page. And I don't know if I should be saying this in camera, but I had to show up to class.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I hope that doesn't take my degrry away or something, but I don't need any more.
Yeah.
So that, and when I started developing that, I also developed my own webpage, and I called it the flight deck because I was a pilot. So I called it the flight deck, and I started putting some of the first graphic icons on there, which had scrolling graphic images and JavaScripts that they had in the internet. There was very few people doing it at the time. So that got a lot of traction to my page. And then they got a tracker that kept track of all of the hits for your web pages, and mine made the top 10. So which is cool history now, because it would cost tens of millions of dollars to get a top 10. I know I can tell my grandkids that, but
Love it.
So this was at Michigan State.
Mhm.
How long were you doing IT?
How long was I doing that? Well, so I actually started hand coding HTML. Back then they didn't have editors, so I started hand coding HTML in one of my classes at Michigan State. Maybe I shouldn't be saying all this. So I was hand coding it, and because I was kind of bored, so I hand coded it. And if you made one mistake, the whole thing would break. So once I developed those web pages, my career kind of changed that way. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that was the direction I was going to head. So I was in IT for about 25 years.
Wow.
After that, because I started once I got out of Michigan State, they hired me right away. I went to Austin. I was one of the founders of Data Junction Corporation, which is basically an ETL tool.
Okay.
It's actually one of the top selling ETL tools in the world. And it's now being acquired by HCL Technologies, which is an Indian company. So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. So you was just a regular old brainiac at 18,
Yeah, man.
flying and building top 10 websites. And
I never thought of
20.
myself that way, and I still don't. But I mean, I think it's just motivation. I'm just a motivated person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So how did you transition into, because I know AZREIA played a big part
Mhm.
of your life in transitioning into real estate. So how did that all occur? What made you even think about real estate? Because from what I gather, you were having a successful career in IT.
Yeah, so I mean, I started a lot some of the way that you hear on different people talking about by reading books, and then I transitioned into AZREIA. But one of the books I read, of course, which everybody brings up, 44 million copies, Robert Kiyosaki,
Mhm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mhm.
here in Phoenix. He lives
Yep.
here in Phoenix too. So there you go. Robert gave you a plug.
You got to have him on the show.
Yeah. We can try to. I think Greg Slaughter,
Mhm.
Kim's wife, is friends with Kim actually.
Oh, awesome.
So long story short, yeah, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then I said, what can I do? And I was like, whoa, look, AZREIA is here in town. And a plug for AZREIA, #1 real estate investor association here in the
Thank
United
you.
States. Highly
Yep.
recommend it. So it's great that we had that. I think it's 8 years running. You guys are #1.
Oh, there's a lot of different
Very lot of numbers.
accolades.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 20 years though.
Well,
Oh,
congratulations
thank you.
to you guys on that. So I showed up to a AZREIA meeting. I think you show up and they started going over all the numbers. Of course, that's right up my alley. So they started going up with all the numbers of houses that are sold and how many at each price point and all that stuff. So as I started getting into it, and I said, what would it take in order to get into the housing market? And 2008 came around.
Mhm.
Everybody knows 2008, things changed dramatically.
Right. Quickly.
And that's when I said, well, what can I do to buy a house? So this is where I came up with this crazy idea while I'm working now. Now I'm in IT, kind of went from aviation to IT. Now I'm sitting there in IT and I was like, well, how do I transition to real estate? And one of the things I was watching this TV show, I guess it was called Barter King.
Okay.
And Barter King is where the guy starts off with a pen or whatever, and he trades his way up to a Lamborghini at the end of the show. So he just keeps on trading. And I was like, well, this is great. This guy's making money out of nothing. Literally. He's
Okay.
not paying taxes, right?
Mhm.
Because he's trading something.
Right.
I don't think you had to pay taxes.
Barter system.
It's a barter system. I was
Okay.
like, this is amazing. How do you make money out of nothing and not have to pay taxes? So I decided, I was bored at IT that day, and I said, I am going to try this myself. This is kind of the fuel to start the fire to buy my first house, which is basically, I saw a Sunday newspaper sitting next to me at work. So I grabbed the Sunday newspaper. I went over to the Sunday newspaper. I cut out the coupons and I went on eBay and I sold them.
Wow.
So I made $25 tax-free that day. And I thought I was bomb because it was $25.
You're still working at the IT.
I'm working
While
at
you're doing this.
I'm
Okay.
working at IT. I
Got it.
probably shouldn't say company name,
But
but I'm working at IT.
Got it.
That's kind of where it starts. You have this idea, and some people, they will have an idea, but they won't act on that idea. You said, hey, you know what? This guy did it on TV. Let me try it. And you just started cutting out some coupons and sold those coupons.
That's the key. Action's the key.
Yeah.
And determination. I think the two biggest factors that, you got to be motivated, determined, stick with your.
Okay. So now I'm really curious about this whole coupon and trading up thing. So what was next? What did you?
You didn't know you were going to go into coupons. They showed it.
That's why I told everybody we got to kind of go everywhere.
The coupon show now. So basically what we did is I cut out those coupons. I sold them on eBay. I got that $25 or whatever that was free that day. It paid for my lunch. And I said, well, what else can I do? And one of the other things I did is I had all these airline miles because I was traveling for a company doing ETL conversions, database conversions. And I took my miles and I went to a site called flipmymiles.com, sold my miles. I got money for that. And I kept on doing all these things to add up to additional monies on the side, which I put into a pot. So instead of, going out and buying cars and stuff, I put it into a pot. And that pot, I got up to $55,000 in the pot all of a sudden, just doing this stuff
From flipping, bartering
stuff. Yeah.
from doing the bartering stuff, from just being creative. It really wasn't about the money. It was really about how can I make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And you literally can make something out of nothing if you're determined to make something out of nothing.
Right.
True.
And so, basically what I did is I got that money and I learned about manufactured spending. I learned about, if you haven't heard about manufactured
I
spending.
haven't.
Okay, well, that's something you got to look into.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So one of the things that's intriguing to me about this is because most people say, I don't have anything to start with. Well, this guy started with some coupons. Yeah, he had an IT job, but he started with the coupons just to see what he can do. And what I always tell people is it even said in the Bible, you got to look around and see what you have. And then you take an assessment of what you have and you start with that. And that's kind of what you did, Mike. And that's really good, man. So you guys that's listening, look around you and see what you have and start with that. If it's equity in your home or if it's an extra car or something like that, if you go on the internet, you'll see people are selling and trading out stuff all the time, just like you did with the airline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can go to your garage and find stuff on there and sell that stuff and you start there and you just keep on multiplying it. It's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
So I did all these things, manufacturing, flip my miles, coupons, got up to the $55,000. And my neighbors decided to have a party for Halloween. I went over to the Halloween party, and at the Halloween party, literally this lady came up to me and she said, I'm a realtor. Are you looking to buy anything? And I said, that's funny you ask. Because I got this 55,000, but in the market crashed in 2008. We're in 2008. The market crashed, and she said, I have a house for sale for 55,000. And I was like, somebody must have told her I had exactly 55,000 in my penny pot. So I was like, 55,000. I thought when you had to buy a house, I thought cash. I thought that meant you had to buy a house cash. I didn't know anything about hard money at the time. So I said, I'd like to see the house. So I went over to the house.
Where was the house at?
The house is in Buckeye, Arizona.
Wow. Okay.
Yavapai Street.
Okay. Still remember that.
Still remember that.
Everybody always
like
remember
downtown,
that
right?
Yeah. You don't ever forget it. Yeah. Yeah. So I went over to Yavapai Street in Buckeye. It was a three bedroom, 2-bath house. I looked at the house and I said, well, what's wrong with this? How can this be $55,000? I was like, the cost of the land and the material are more than the value of what you're selling the house for. It doesn't make any sense.
What year was this, Mike?
2008.
Okay. 2008.
So I called up the former owner. Somehow I got a hold of the former owner, and he said, oh yeah, I had lost my job or whatever. And so I said, what's wrong with the house? He said, nothing. This doesn't make any sense again. I'm still, it logically doesn't make any sense to me why anybody would sell a house for $55,000, but I'm going along with the program. But you have these question marks in your head of denial that something's got to be wrong.
Well, that's a lot of new people that come into our business who in their right mind would sell their house at 50 cents on the dollar.
Right.
That's what's amazing about real estate. People don't believe it. And I think we get that stigma of like, oh, you're stealing houses and you're, what I mean? The investors get that bad name, but we're actually solving problems.
Exactly.
And people would rather move on from that house because it's such a headache.
I think that's a great point, Mike, because you are solving problems because they don't have another exit strategy.
Yeah.
And that house was going to sit there vacant. And if it sits there vacant, what's going to happen is we're going to have people moving in that are not authorized to move in, and we're going to have drugs and problems in your neighborhood.
And he said he lost his job. He left. He took off. He just gave up on the property. So that's where we come in as investors and are able to capture opportunities. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You don't have to use the police to go over there and remove people from their houses, and that costs a lot of money to do all this stuff and evict people. So, and you have all that crime coming into your neighborhood. So it solves a lot of problems because now he has money to go use capital to go buy or live somewhere else. You don't have crime moving into the neighborhood, and then I end up with a good property.
And so did you So you bought it.
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it. I was like,
Mhm.
out of coupons pretty much, right?
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, we picked it up. It was $55,000. I think I rented it out for like maybe $700 at the time,
Okay.
and I'm still in IT. And I said, "This is great. You know, I'm still working IT. I'm sitting here in the office every day typing and doing my computer stuff, and I'm getting money coming in, and I'm not really
Not
doing
doing
anything
anything.
for it
Yep.
besides renting it and signing a piece of paper." And I was like, "This is too easy
Mhm.
compared to IT." I was
Yeah.
like, "This is too easy."
So what happened next? You bought it, you rented it?
Yeah, I bought it, I rented it, and then things started going, the market started changing, and as the market started changing, I bought another one over on Adams Street, 16128 West Adams Street. Bought it for $101,000, and I started renting that one, and I leveraged it, and then those started going
So
up.
how'd you buy that one? Did you because you didn't know about hard money yet?
I didn't know about hard money
So
yet,
how'd
but
you
I
get
made
this?
$5,000 to $10,000 off the rents for the first house,
Got it.
and then I got smart.
Okay.
You get smarter as you get older.
Sounds like,
Yes.
it sounds like you're pretty smart already, but we got even more smarter.
Yeah, we got more smarter, wiser. So basically what I did is I took the $5,000 to $10,000, and then I used that, and I found a program where if you put, I think it was 5% down at the time, you could buy a house.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know how I ran into this. It was actually a guy in the mall. He was selling houses up
You
there.
love talking to people.
Oh, I love
don't you?
Hey, you know what? That's it. I love talking to
Yep.
people. And I was actually, he looked like he was bored. So I walked up to him and started talking to him. He's like, "Oh, I bought this house for 55." And I told him the story. So I was like,
So you saw a guy in the mall, you look bored, so you're like, let me tell my
Yeah.
story. Love it.
Well,
Yes,
get you- get something.
Awesome.
That's pretty much how it went. So I walked up to him, and he's an older gentleman, and he looked like he could use the company. So I said, "Yeah, I got this house." And I was like, he said, "Well, do you want to buy another one?" Because it's, it was one of those places that sell the houses in the mall. And I said, "Well, what do you got?" And he showed me this house. And I said, "Sure, let's go take
The guy in the mall.
The guy in the mall.
You
Yeah.
gotta
the guy
love
in the mall.
Yep.
You
So-
can never underestimate anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like you never know who's who. That's like when you're at these meetings at AZREIA or anywhere you're at, not just the mall.
Yeah.
You don't know who's who. So this person in the mall had an opportunity for you.
He had an opportunity.
Okay.
That's exactly
Tell
it.
us.
And I made an opportunity out of it just by talking. And everybody should talk to everybody.
Mhm.
So basically, I went up to him and I asked him what he had available. He said, "Well, I got this house out in Goodyear, and I'd like you to see it." I was like, "Let's go. Let's go." I'm motivated now, right? Because I
Mhm.
got my $700 coming in.
Right.
Yeah,
You
right.
got cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
Love
So
it.
so I went over there and saw the house, and he's like, "Well, this one's on a special one where you can, put, I think it was 5 or 10% down. So it's either 5 or 10,000 because it was $101,000 purchase."
Mhm.
Then I put 10,100 down or whatever it was. It wasn't a lot of money. So I pulled it from the other house, put down the money, bought the house.
Mhm.
Everybody else didn't want to buy the house because they didn't see the value in the house because the floors were kind of crappy and torn up and coming up.
Mhm.
So you leverage funds equity from your first house in order to get the
I
second
had
house.
already made rents in the first house
Got it.
So
for
you're
like a
just
year.
saving it.
for
Yeah.
probably about
Got
a
it.
year. Yeah, I'm saving it. Right.
Got
So
it,
I let's say I made 7,000 plus some change on, doing some other things.
Okay.
Some more coupons. So basically, yeah. So we bought the house for 101,000. I think I put 10,100 down. I think it was 10% now. I'm thinking about it. So 10% down, and then I started renting that. Now I'm getting 2 rents coming in. Now
There you go.
this is party time now. So we're moving up. We're
You're
moving
still
up.
at the IT.
Still in IT.
Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
now I got
Cool.
the side money where I can go out and
Yeah.
basically buy some few extra toys or whatever I need to do with.
Uh-huh.
But I'm also trying to put the money back in. So everything you make, you put back into another house.
Yeah.
And then then I went into the third house, the fourth house, whatever.
Okay.
It kept on going up until I think we maxed out about 100 houses or whatever. Now I'm kind of reconsolidating back down, taking
Okay.
All right. That's a big jump.
Yeah. So let's kind of go back.
Yeah.
1 house, 2 houses, 3 houses, 4 houses,
Yeah.
100 houses.
Right.
Let's dive in that 4 to 100 space.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
just a little bit.
yeah, no, I mean, I just kept on releveraging, making money on the houses, reinvesting, put
Okay.
another one, releveraging. The
All while
market-
you're working. I just want to get that across. Like,
all while I was working, yeah.
love
But
it.
2000,
You don't have to quit your job.
you don't have to quit your job.
So nothing magical. You're not doing, anything
Action.
magical. You're just saying, all right, bought the one house, save all of the rent from that house, take that money, and then go and buy
And look for another opportunity where you don't have to put down, 20%. I'll put
Yeah.
down 10% or 5% or whatever it was. And I looked for another opportunity. And I made it, you can make your own opportunities by talking to people.
Mhm.
Show up to AZREIA, show up to network meetings. talk to any of the realtors,
Anywhere.
go
Yep.
call some realtors out of the phone book. I mean, you can make
You still got a
opportunity.
phone book?
No.
What's that?
But Mike he leverages his phone. I mean,
No,
he
of course,
has
of course.
everybody that you could think of in his phone. And it's funny, I tell you guys how we met. I think you listened to my podcast on Bigger Pockets, and then you just gave me a call out of the blue.
I
And he
did.
was like,
He was on Big Pockets, and I said, I found you on Facebook, and I started pinging him, and I said, hey, we should network together.
I'm like, who's this crazy guy? He's just reaching out to me,
Hey.
just constantly reaching out to me. But I see, by you doing that, that's
Yeah.
how you increase your network, and then me and you became close, and then happened to find out that Mike, and a lot of other people that both of us, that all of us
Oh,
know.
yeah.
And then it was like, oh, okay, well, then we went out to dinner. And then
Yeah.
so I'm saying all of that to tell you guys out there that, you just have to be in the right places at the right times. You have to go to these different events and things like that and talk to people. Like Mike said, talk to people, let people know what you do.
Yeah.
And you just never know how far that'll take you.
And never be afraid to go up and shake somebody's hand or make an introduction for yourself. I mean, it took me 2 years to get through to Marcus, by the way. I think we lost contact for like 2 years.
Yeah,
Came
we
back,
did.
and then I finally saw you on the Go Givers group here, and I walked up and said, "Hey, I finally get to meet you in person now." So that was good.
Awesome.
So you never give you just never give up. You just stick with it. That's the key.
Yep.
So true. So true. So you went from 4 houses to 100 houses.
Yeah.
First of all, why did you decide to even go that big? Because you were still doing IT. I mean, I can see you have these couple of houses for additional, play money, vacation money,
Mhm.
stuff like that. What made you say, I'm going to go big and I'm just going to go all out?
I think actually I just kind of got addicted to it and got used to kind of like, hey, if I just take the money here, put it into this one, put the money in there, and then I got 2 going. It's almost like planting a seed. It's a lot like a orchard, because as soon as you get that first seed and you plant it and you grow a tree, it takes a long time to grow that
Yep.
first tree. But after that tree grows, I'm starting to pick more fruit. I'm pulling more seeds out, putting more
Very good
trees in,
example.
and it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
And I didn't really expect it to go that, and kind of became an addiction, and kind of in a way kind of just.
So you think to be a successful entrepreneur, you think you have to have that addictive personality or obsession?
I think you have to self-motivate yourself a little bit in
Yeah.
order to get
Yeah.
where you want to go. And again, the key thing is, I hear this in a lot of podcasts, is the key thing is just sticking with it.
Yeah.
Commitment.
So I don't think it takes a high IQ. I don't think it takes a person that has a lot of
Yeah,
resources.
I know a lot of dumb investors. I'm one.
Yeah, I mean, there's all people smarter than you. And the thing is basically you don't have to have a high net worth. I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions about real estate, is like you were saying earlier, you have to start with something in order to get something. You don't.
Mhm.
You have to start with motivation in your head, but you don't have to start with money.
True.
Oh, not at all. It's someone else's money.
Yeah.
Other people with OPM,
Yeah,
other people
no,
with money,
yeah.
right? OPM. So, but you can also start with like nothing, basically. I mean, this is something I started out of nothing, really.
Yeah.
Literally under pretty much
I
nothing.
really did.
Mhm.
I love that, man.
And that's similar to you and me, Mike. Also, it's seeing opportunity. That's one of the things, is having that vision. I was watching the show on Irv Gotti with Murder Inc.
Mhm.
And it was talking about how their story started as a record label. And he just saw opportunities that other people didn't see, and he leveraged those opportunities. So it started out as a small opportunity. He leveraged that. Then it got bigger, and it just grew. Like what you were saying with the orchard, you start with one tree, with one seed, plant that one seed, it grows. Now you have multiple fruit on that tree. Now you got multiple seeds inside of each fruit, and you just keep planting. So guys, that's all you have to do, is you just got to start with something. You just got to look around and see the opportunities. So one of the opportunities is come to AZREIA, stick around, be a fly on the wall, get a chance to meet people.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is you never know who you're talking to. Just like Mike, he's here on, a couple hundred houses. You would never look at him, and notice that he's not pulling up in a Rolls Royce or Maserati or anything like that, but you just never know who you talk to.
Yep. For every dud, there's a stud.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Someone's always out there.
So let's take a brief break, hear a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we want to talk about, you building that portfolio. I know you said, you just planted more seeds, but for some people, they want to know kind of that action, what exactly you did in order to do that. So let's hear a brief word from our sponsors, and we will be right back with Mike Anderson.
Are your real estate dreams on hold? With work, kids, everything else going on, time is limited. Most days you feel like the world's on your shoulders. You might even say to yourself, if I just had someone to lean on and push me in the right direction, I know things would happen quicker. Well, then you need to check out the Deal Finders Club, a community of investors eager to close more deals, sign more contracts, and just get ahead in life. The DFC provides weekly coaching, thriving online community, and all the education you need to be confident. DFC is your fastest path to closing more deals. To learn more, head over to AZDFC.com. That's AZDFC.com.
All right, guys, we are back with Mike Anderson and our co-host, Mike Del Pree. So, Mike Anderson, so you started building out this portfolio of 100 plus units. How was that dichotomy between you still working in IT and real estate? What made you decide to go full-time in the real estate, and how did you go full-time in real estate?
Well, what made me go full-time in real estate is actually in between meetings while I was in IT at work, I was actually on the whiteboards explaining to my colleagues on how things work in the real estate market and how they could actually get involved. And lo and behold, I didn't know, unbeknownst to me, I'm sitting here drawing all this stuff. More and more people started coming to me and asking me questions about how to do that. And I said, you know what, I really enjoy this more than I do IT. And I said, IT has a ceiling. The problem with IT is it has a ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really, if I work my butt off, and at one of the last companies I worked for, if you did really, really good and you were an outstanding all-star player, rocket science smart, you would get a 6% raise.
Mhm.
Well, we know with inflation right now,
Right.
and inflation in general, that if you're got a 6% raise and your inflation's at 9%, you're losing 3% a year.
Right.
So that's a no-win situation, and you're not
Mhm.
gonna get ahead in life. And even if inflation's at the normal, which is about 3%, you're still gonna get money behind. So if I was an average person, you get a 3% raise. If you were a rock star, you get a 6% raise. I'm still just keeping pace with inflation, even if I'm
Right.
pretty much a rock star. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. So work all those extra hours. Wouldn't you rather work and those extra hours for yourself and put that money into your pocket? I'm putting that money into other companies' pocket.
Right.
So, two of the companies that I worked for ended up going, in NASDAQ. They made tons of money. They sold those companies off. I did a lot of, work for those companies, and I didn't get any rewards for it. And they sold for, tens of millions of dollars. One of the founders, and I didn't get any money for those companies. So I said, instead of making money for other people, I'm going to make money for myself, and I want to do something I enjoy. That's the key.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy what you're doing. So to me, I enjoyed doing the IT stuff. How I made the transition is I actually, and giving you guys a plug here, but it's a true story, is I went to AZREIA meeting. I met with a gentleman named Greg Slaughter at one of my first meetings. It's a fix and flip meeting with, was it Bob Gomez?
Yes, Bob.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So Bob Gomez was there, and I introduced myself to Bob. Bob happened to be talking to Greg, and I said, well, I might as well shake this guy's hand too. I don't know who he is, but
Right.
Bob likes something. I was like,
Looks like the guy at the mall.
Here we go. So I shook Greg's hand, and then we started talking, and Greg said, well, how many houses do you have? We went into the back and forth about talking about real estate, and we got in the elevator. Next thing I know, we're out in the parking lot talking for 20 minutes, and he says, we got to go to lunch. I was like, okay, let's do that. So
Yeah.
he's telling me, hey, I'm getting some of the best capitalization rates in the country, and I'm buying these houses in Gary, Indiana.
Mhm.
This is Greg talking, and I said, well, Greg, I got some extra money. I did all these houses. I'd like to take some of that money, convert it into larger cap rates, have less work, and I don't have to manage. And I was also managing some of my own properties, by the way. On top of the IT, I was doing my own property management. I was doing fix and flips, and I was doing IT all three at the same time. So you can do this. Well, I want to motivate all the people out there. You can actually do this yourself. Everybody can do this. it, does take motivation, does take commitment, dedication, but this is 100% doable.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good, good,
Because
good.
I think a lot of people always ask if they can do it, and I really want to drill that home that you can do it. So when I met with Greg, he said, would you be interested in buying some of my houses? And it's, that he's fixing up. I think he was buying them, I believe, from an auction.
Yeah,
Tax liens and stuff, I think you mentioned.
Okay, yeah, and I think he picked up a couple hundred houses.
Yep.
And so I said, well, what are your cap rates? And he gave me the numbers, and it was really good. I think it was somewhere between 14 to 18%, with the lowest being 12.5%. If my memory serves me right. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm interested. That's pretty Greg. So let's go out to lunch. So we went out to lunch. This is all, started from the AZREIA meeting, and went out to lunch. As we went out to lunch, we sat down. It was supposed to be a 1 hour lunch, and it turned into a 4 hour lunch. And me and Greg from that point forward, we're still friends. And basically I want to, I know one of Greg's goals in life is to motivate people to go in real estate. So Greg, I want to say thank you for that.
Awesome. Greg's great.
I could see how it turned into a 4 hour lunch because you like to talk and Greg like to
So did you buy properties from him, or do you invest? Do you guys do partnerships, or would you?
So I ended up buying properties from him. Correct.
Okay.
So I bought properties cash from him.
Got it. And where'd you get the money?
I got the money because I bought and sold all those other houses, and
here in town.
Yeah, and then I did what they call 1031, which is a section of the IRS code, which allows you to legally legally trade tax deferred into another property.
Got it. So like for like. So you basically sold your properties here in Arizona and use that money to buy properties in Gary and across the country.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So yeah, so I started picking up the properties from Greg, and then we bought those properties cash. Those are good flowing cash flow properties that did not require a lot of work.
Have you ever been to Gary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So something you said in regards to like going into raising money, you said you would teach everyone at your job about real estate, and people more and more people come. So did you do any raising money at work? Because that's what I like to tell people, is like the money's right in front of you. It's right around you.
That's a great question. When I started, I was begging everybody, for money. So I was like, hey, I got to, I can do this and I can make more money. And I was begging people for money. I was asking, my friends, I'm sitting down going to meetings with some of my doctor friends, and I'm asking them for money, and it was kind of hard to get money a little bit at first, because they were like, well, you're not proving, I'm like, well, I already did 3 houses. So, but it took a while to kind of motivate people that way. And then now I'm to the point where I have so much people come bringing, they want, bring deals to me. I don't have the need for it because I already have my own cash, and I don't want to pay to split deals, and it's more work for me. So it changed over time because, people want to see that you're proven it first, but you can get the money. There's a whole bunch of places where you get the money. I didn't know at the time all the different places where you could get money until I started.
Got it.
Yep. Well, it's good to have that option. Right now, I wish I was in your position where I didn't need the money, Mike, but you still know how to raise the money if you need to raise the money. So that's a good position to be in.
Well, you can always do bigger deals.
Exactly.
But there should always be a work-life balance, between work and life. So,
because I know me, you, and Cyrus, we were kind of kicking tires on some multifamily stuff. So yeah, bigger deals are always out there. The opportunities are always out there.
Yeah, I'm still open to those.
Yep. So you sold all of those? Did you sell all of your portfolio?
No, I sold some of my portfolio here. I downsized. I basically took the smaller ones and turned them into bigger ones.
Okay.
So we have luxury, 7-digit figure houses now that are on lakes and
right, because you're doing short-term rentals now, right?
Correct. Well, I have short-term rental. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a good segue. So you sold a lot of your smaller rentals, took that cash, and you said, hey, you know what, the short-term rental thing looked like it's something. You went out and you bought the luxury short-term rentals and rent those out. Okay, so
that means I have less properties to manage, less headaches, I get more of my life back, but I still have good cash flowing assets. Maybe not the same cap rates as what you'd find in the smaller ones. It usually doesn't work out that way going to the bigger ones, but I have better quality of life where I have more time to spend with my kids and family.
Well, that's good. I mean, you use real estate, but you diversified your real estate. So you said, okay, instead of it being all just rentals, now I have short-term rentals, and I have some traditional rentals that's outside of this market that's getting me a higher cap rate. So it's the same pool of money. You're just making more money with that same pool of money.
Correct. And you're also getting that time back.
Right.
Which is key for me. But
Are you still clipping coupons at this time?
well, you know what? I still do use them occasionally. I tell you, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
start
joking with
cheap,
bartering.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, actually, you know, the thing is, it's a mindset thing, and it's great you brought that up again, because I still have that mindset. It's like planting that first seed. The first microchip is what, and it costs you the most to make, and then you make them and they keep on multiplying. And so I still have that mindset.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go to the, you know, Brewster's Ice Cream and they got $1 off coupon, I'm gonna use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
I
too
get
proud of
I'm not sure,
it.
man.
So because that's tax-free money to me. So
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about things, but really, you know, there's three ways of making money in real estate, which is we can do the rentals.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. And then, but one of the things that people, and you can do flips. And one of the things that people don't talk about is taxes.
Mhm.
It's almost taboo to talk about taxes. And it's something that we need to talk about, because taxes and figuring out how to do things tax-free or reduce your taxes legally, reduce your
Right.
taxes
Yeah.
is a key and to get ahead in real estate. And so one of the books I recommend, and you know, I'm giving Kiyosaki's team another plug here, is Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright.
Yep.
Yeah. He's local too.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's local.
he is.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I like his book. I mean, because what they went into there, and I actually had dinner yesterday with one of my doctor friends, and he was explaining to me how much money he made in his portfolio for stocks. And I said, well, how much are you going to pay in taxes? And then I pulled out the pencil, you know, me being nerdy here. I pulled out the pencil, started going through the numbers, and he said, oh, I didn't know that. So he basically in that book goes into details and it says, hey, if you're investing in stocks, how much are you going to pay in taxes over that same period of time? And if you do the same thing in real estate, how much are you going to pay in taxes?
Yeah.
Because of all the tax breaks you get in real estate and all the things you can write off in real estate legally, right off in real estate.
And one of the things that we were talking about too during our break was actually relationships. You know, we were like, you know, a lot of times your relationships are way more valuable than your money, because those relationships actually help you to get more money and things like that. And one of the things that I like about you, like from day one, was you was always a giver. You know, you were like, hey, I know so-and-so, I can get you connected with so-and-so. So just to tell you guys just a quick little personal story, those of you all that know me, you know, my son is really big into football, and one of his goals is to go to LSU and play football. And I was telling Mike this, and Mike was like, hey, well, you know what? I know a guy that played in the NFL, and he played for the University of Alabama, and he was, you know, a 5-star recruit and everything like that. I'm gonna set it up so you and your son can go out to dinner with him. And Mike absolutely did that. You know, he set it up where we can go out and meet Cyrus. And man, I just want to tell you thank you, because I can't even remember if I told you thank you about that.
Oh no, I mean, you're most welcome. Anything I can do, and I mean that sincerely, you know, let me know. And that goes for anybody in the audience too, because I would like to give back to the community. I would like to help people, and I'd like to, you know, mentor the right person. So.
And Mike's Rolodex is deep, man. You know, it's like Draymond Green.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Guys, HTML, JavaScript, phone books, Rolodex. Come on, guys.
We just need a rotary phone in there somewhere, right?
You're right, Mike. We are aging ourselves.
There's something going on.
There you go.
So where was I going? Just the relationships, you know, guys. It's really key to have those relationships.
And you know, and you mentioned Draymond, and I got to say, Draymond, he's a great guy. One of the things is I networked there too, because I built up the relationships with some of the Michigan State basketball players and families, and over time. And you know, Draymond's first game was here in Phoenix. He was a 2nd round pick. You know, I'm sure he wasn't happy with that, but he actually came here to play in Phoenix, and so he didn't get to play in that particular game. But I was the first person that he ever gave tickets to for the NBA tickets, and we went out to dinner, and he said, hey, I want to buy this. And so this is for his mom, Mary. I said, hey, I want to buy this Range Rover. So we went over to the Range Rover dealership. He just got in the NBA. And he said, I want to buy this Range Rover. So I said, well, I'm gonna be your agent. So I walked in there, I pretended to be his agent, and we went up there, and I said, and I told him, I was like, Draymond, you can't buy this because your first contract, I think you got 2.2 million or something. I don't remember. It wasn't a lot of money. I said, you know how fast you're going to go through that money after you pay taxes. And I kind of talked him out of, going down to the Range Rover path of buying that stuff. But now he just got that. He
don't
got
have no
that.
problem.
Now he got that contract. He got a contract for what, $80 million.
Yeah, you don't have any problems with that.
Yeah.
Call him up. It can be your age.
Yeah. I said, now Draymond, you can buy that car.
Yep, there you go.
Yep, relationships. I mean, that goes back to Michigan State. So when you start building these relationships, one of the things that a close person to me always told me, he was like, if you have somebody in your phone book and you haven't talked to them, just pick up the phone, pick a day out of the week and just pick somebody random in your phone and just give them a call and say, hey man, just thinking about you. How's things going? And that keeps that level of communication open. And I'm guilty of that because sometimes, I don't follow up and call people, that I haven't spoke to in a while. But man, Mike, you just brought it home. Those relationships are definitely key.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just say, just keep on talking. But and the other thing one other thing I want to touch on that is when you go to the AZREIA meetings and you take down these numbers, follow up.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
How many times do you go to these meetings? I must have met, I don't know how many, the go-givers, 20 people that I gave out my number to. And I think maybe 1-2 people called me back.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do any good to exchange numbers unless you're going to follow up and actually start going after it and calling each other.
That's so true. So guys, like I promised, we kind of went everywhere today. We went rentals, short-term rentals. We didn't even touch on the luxury market rentals because that's something completely different. So we'll probably have to get into that in a B conversation.
Yeah, we can do it again.
Yeah. So Mike, any words from our executive director before we end today?
No, man, I'm excited to have Mike here, man. From coupon clipper to house flipper.
There
you go, man. Well, we didn't even touch on the houses. How many houses did you flip in a year?
I did 157 houses in the first.
See, that goes back with your chip analogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. That's how you did so many so fast.
Yeah. I actually used IT to my advantage and I built up my own systems to make the process faster. And I built those relationships with the wholesalers. It's funny because when I walked into the Go-Givers, a lot of these wholesalers knew who I was. I had no idea who they were, but it was great because they were coming to me with deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, how do these people know who I am? But I was like, if you put yourself out there and you do a whole bunch of deals, they exchange list and they do these things. So, you just keep on sticking with it and then you get your name out there and people start bringing you deals. It's the opposite from where I started, where I practically begged
now you don't have to market.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or run. That's lovely.
So you can flip a coin yourself, in a good direction on yourself if you stick with it. That's the moral of the story.
Love it, man.
100+ rentals, 100+ flips in a year, luxury rentals. Luxury short-term rentals, built relationships, and a lot of this he did while working a full-time job.
So how do we find you, man? If someone wants to call you right now or get in touch with you.
Pretty easy. My email address is Mike, MIKEA 8000 @gmail.com. And my cell phone is 480-387-7117. And don't be afraid to reach out. I'm here to help.
Got the permission right there.
There you go, guys. So if you want to learn from, how he built his rental portfolio, how he did 150 flips in a year, how he's doing with luxury short-term rentals, you got his number, got his email, reach out to Mike. Mike, man, I really appreciate you being on the show, man. It's a lot of content. We just scratched the surface.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Love it.
Thank you both, and we'll bring you some coupons next time.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take it.
All right, guys, this is the AZREIA show. We are signing off on today. And remember, you can download our episodes every Friday. Every Friday, you can find them on all podcast platforms. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the website.
Keep it going.
Here at our office, so we're here 40 events a month. Here,
close 200 a year. There you go.
Okay, 200 a year.
I was gonna do the
Mike
math.
is being modest, but he basically lives here in the office.
Yes.
But yeah, we're here. So reach out to us, guys. Thank you so much for being loyal listeners. Thank you, Mike. And Mike,
Yes.
once
same here.
again, signing off, you guys. Remember to always come to AZREIA.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Delprete. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to AZREIA.org and learn more about our community.